Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Thanks for being here. As always, you can follow us at Old Pueblo Coin and at the Coin Geek on Instagram, as well as oldpueblocoin.com. That's how you spell Pueblo right up here. And, enjoy having you guys around. Thanks for being here. And TucsonCoinshow.com. Tucson also needs some spelling, right? Tucson. That's the actual way you spell Tucson. And it's pronounced Tucson, not Tucson. All right, we're done. See you later. All right, so on to one burning question for the day. David says, I've only been a coin collector for about 2 years. I've been a gem and mineral collector for 17 years, started when I was 14, and now I'm 31. We can do math, this is good. Both hobbies are almost identical, but the only difference is gem and mineral dealers are actually willing to make a deal with you that is more than 5% off the price. Coin dealers are so stiff on their prices that it makes the hobby less fun than my other one. All right, I had to tackle this one because this is just. So for those of you who don't know, there's a show that comes to Tucson every year called the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. The entire city is taken over. You can't find a hotel room. It's like the entire place turns into a giant bazaar. You go to hotels and there's dealers set up everywhere with gems, minerals, fossils. There's also people that are set up with all kinds of other goods that you can buy and sell and trade. And every February, that's just for a month, Tucson is overrun. And so I'm somewhat familiar with the differences between these two markets and these two hobbies. And there's a lot to be said about just what happens in an open market and a lot of what happens when you have the freedom to charge what you want for something versus a very competitive market where you might not have as much leeway. All right, so let me dig into this just a little bit more. And so for those of you who collect things other than coins, but you also collect coins, you can tell me if you have anything that's like this gem and mineral comment, or if is it a little bit more like going to, I'm going to say a gun show or some other trade show where the price points are pretty similar. This is why the price points are similar when you go to lots of different coin shows and you see coin dealers, etc., etc. There is a lot of competition in the marketplace and a somewhat limited amount of goods, if you will. So if you go different places, you have price guides that are somewhat standardized. And so a lot of collectors complain about the price guides. They say, well, they're way off here and they're way off there. And by the way, I understand the price guides aren't precise, and you should understand that too. So a warning about price guides, realize they're not law or gospel or anything. They are a guide that is supposed to be helpful for you to understand the marketplace on many different things. The coin market is vast and deep, and so they can't actually be precise on everything. And they're not the ones making you an offer, right? And so if someone is going to go ahead and make you an offer on a coin, that's when you know kind of what the market value might be versus just seeing, versus just seeing a price point in a book. So when you go to a coin dealer and he has something marked at $100, there's a chance that he might be into it for $80 or $90. Now, some of you don't believe that's ever exactly true. I understand that. You think everyone pays 20 cents on the dollar, but they don't. A lot of the stuff that people have in their inventory, really, they don't have that much of a margin on. Now, I also understand that some of you think that someone making 20% is a huge margin, right? Also, I just want you to think about the things that you purchase at a store, which oftentimes have a 3, 4, or 5-fold markup on them, right? And so at the end of the day, when you're dealing with someone, you're really dealing with their labor. Like I tell people to kind of view it that way. When you're dealing with me, it's not like I'm giving you $80 for a $100 item and I'm just taking money from you. You're paying for my labor, which is no different than if you wanted to consign it to an auction. You're paying for their labor. The same thing happens over and over again, right? So the price points in the coin market are oftentimes very similar to one another because of the competition level in the marketplace. That can change over time. Currently, coming out of COVID, you've got a situation where you had a lot of people jumping into the marketplace all at the same time, people fighting for the same inventory, And that, of course, drove prices up, but also drove margins down. And so you have this competition area that's actually very hard for dealers to survive in, generally speaking. It's the thing that kind of helped them is if the market, you buy a coin at one level and then all of a sudden the market goes up over the next couple months, it's like you can't lose. There's certain times in this market where you see guys that really aren't very good coin dealers who really did well for themselves, because you had to do well, because it was hard to lose money when the market was going up the entire time. So how is all this stuff very different from a gem and mineral marketplace? Well, the gem and mineral market in coins is a little bit closer to world coins or to ancient coins. Thank you for the help from the peanut gallery. So the world coins and ancient coins generally don't have the same level of price guides. There's a whole lot more fungibility between like, hey, this coin has more eye appeal to it. Another one sold 2 years ago or 5 years ago. It's very hard to pinpoint a price on something. And so in the gem and mineral world, you have not standardized grading. And by that, I mean, you don't have coins that are certified. By the way, once again, we knock certified coins lots of times, but the reality is it has helped to standardize pricing. I mean, it really has. I mean, you have sight unseen bids on stuff. And the only place you see that in the gem and mineral world is really like in bulk items that are in large quantities. It's all the same stuff. It's by the kilo. You're just going to buy a whole bunch of it, and that's how it is. Okay, so labor, right? So it takes a lot of labor to move a lot of minerals. So guys that I know that have tons of minerals, literally, at a storehouse somewhere, part of it is like that combination between overhead and whatever, to take these big bulk stuff. They're buying stuff for way less than retail compared to what I think the average coin collector would get for their coin collection. Once again, I know there's plenty of objections, for someone who's tried to sell their coins and they think it's worth $1,000 and they're getting offered, 600 instead of 1,000. I get that, right? But I'm just saying, from my experience with mineral dealers, they're moving tons and tons of material. And at the end of the day, when the show's over, and they have huge margins, they're willing to sell stuff, whatever. I don't want to take it home. I don't want to take it home, and I don't want to take it home. By the way, this is the same, a little bit similar in the coin market, where if you go to a coin show on the last day and you find the right guy who's got some inventory and he didn't have a great show, you can always just ask him about, like, well, is there anything that you're looking to move? Do you have any deals? And oftentimes in the coin market, you're only going to see that 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 10% off of something, partially because if you're trying to buy something that everybody else wants, you're not going to get that discount. There's stuff you can get a discount on, but you might not want it. The other thing that I've seen, going back to the concept of standardized grading, is when you take an ancient coin and they all look a little different, that's where collectors start kind of fighting for something, or a dealer will say, this is the nicest one I've seen, because they've been dealing in it for 100 years. Well, not 100 years. They've been dealing in it a long time. So therefore they know, hey, most of these coins trade at $500. I'm going to ask $1,500 and I'm going to hold it until someone says yes. And that's a very different thing. Now that guy's got it priced at $1,500 and he could come down to 1,000 if he wanted to, because the marketplace is closer to 500, right? So you've got this huge margin built in, and that's where you can get huge discounts. And with the standardized grading concept, I've heard their stories about mineral samples that, they're dealing with a mineral that's not a rare mineral, like a sulfur mineral, but it is the largest crystals they've ever owned, and they paid a couple $1,000s for it because it's the nicest one they've seen, and they turned around and sold it for 20 grand. Now that's not an everyday occurrence, mind you, but also that's very different than having a very regular buying and selling process at fair price points. Fair price points is an unfair way of putting it, because I don't want you to think that mineral guys are just ripping people off. But it's a little bit more the wild, wild west without the standardized grading. And also the labor costs are different. And so you've got huge spreads, because the reality is that not the average mineral collector wants a ton of something. It's a very, very different marketplace. So anyway, I don't know if that actually corresponds at all with what you've seen in the marketplace. If you think I'm being unfair about the mineral market, I'm trying to be very fair about this, because like I said, you see a similar thing happen in the more niche markets of coins, or the more niche markets. But in the markets of coins where it's like the standard stuff that gets traded a lot, that's where you get the real small margins. And I think a little bit more about what you would see in what used to be the diamond trade. I say used to be because diamonds are like, that's its own thing going on right now. But traditionally, guys in the diamond market that were making a fair market, their margins were very small. It reminded me quite a bit of the coin market for nice graded diamonds. They had a little bit more margin, I always felt, than coin dealers did, but still, it wasn't like they were going to double or triple their money on a nice stone. Maybe on their bulk stuff they do, but it's bulk stuff is bulk stuff. That's you have big margins in bulk stuff, because there's a lot of it. It's a lot of it. So anyways, let me know, guys, your thoughts on some of the stuff in the marketplace. I'll be intrigued to know what you think about getting a 5% cut on something instead of getting a much larger discount. All right, I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.